the state came in and did their survey of the building. And at that point, yeah, it's actually been longer than a week and a half.
It was 2 weeks today.
Okay, 2 weeks, okay, 2 weeks ago. And at that point, they did find a few items, which that's their job, that's okay, to fix before we could have occupancy of the building. And those items were very, to the most part, pretty minor, but still, they want the building perfect before we can move into it, because once you move into it, it's harder to kick us out. So that's their philosophy. You know, that we're kind of in the state bureaucracy now. Is they promised that they would have our plan of correction to us a week ago, and it came early this week. So it's really slowed the process down. So as of now, the building is really ready to go, but it's really lost in the response and the paperwork back and forth to the state. So our best estimate is probably the start of next week, would you say, Russ?
Yeah, I would think so, hopefully especially by a weekend. Yeah, not this weekend, but the next. I would think we're in there.
Okay, that's our best guess when we're dealing with the government, right?
Yeah, because like I said, all the things they found, we've already got fixed, so Mike will send back a plan of corrections to them, what we did, and then once we get it, they will go, basically back to them, so.
Yeah. So, but the building, I mean, they were impressed when they came and did the survey. I mean, it's a very good, very well-built facility. And so we did our tours of having the community come and see the building, and very positive comments from the community. The community's very, very pleased at how it turned out. And I think we all are too. I mean, everybody that's went through it. So that's the ER. Now the OR is, if you haven't been, you can, we can do tours of that, at times too, and it's moving along. There's more challenge with the OR because of doing it in phases so they can keep operating. And I think that's the challenge with the OR side of it. But they are slowed down a little bit with the ER because they want to get into the current ER space in order to start demoing that, to start rebuilding it. So it is slowing them down a little bit, but they're very optimistic that we're going to still be seeing or having that open in the October timeframe. If it's a little bit before that is good, but as we experience with the ER, we shouldn't be that optimistic that as soon as it's ready doesn't mean that we can actually move into it. So, any questions on the construction? And it is still under budget, which is a good thing too. I say it's under budget, but actually the building side of it's under budget. The equipment side, though, unfortunately, is not under budget, and that's what's kind of messed up our capital budget. Probably in the tune of about $300,000. Is that probably the number, Chad?
Yeah, right around there, yeah.
Okay, Chad, why don't you come on up here and talk numbers to us.
Hit those front lights, Mike.
Did what he asked,
It was
didn't
pretty funny.
I did what he asked.
Did you hit him?
Yes.
Okay.
Didn't you say hit him?
Yeah, I did.
All right. I rest my case.
Okay, first of all, I'm going to take you to February. As you can see, in February, we had a net income we had a loss of $54,000. December, I mentioned to you that we had record revenues. We go to the top, we can see in February, we had total gross revenues of 3.4. In December, we had 4 million, which is the most we've ever generated in a month. I forgot to mention, I never really mentioned about revenue deductions when I visited with you before. Revenue deductions are our contractuals. So we billed out $3.4 million in February. We had revenue deductions of almost $950,000. That means right from the very beginning, we have to write that off because we know we're not going to collect $938,000 in the month of February because of our Medicare, Medicaid, agreements, or insurance agreements, bad debt, charity. So right off the get-go, we gotta write that off. And so our net revenue in February was 2.5 million. If you come over to the side, we can see what it is year to date. Year to date, we're at 21,831,000. We budgeted 21, so we're 813,000 net revenue over what we had budgeted. Now, what's the other half of the income statement? Expenses, right? So let's go to our expenses. And total expenses for the year are 19,400. All right, we budgeted 18. We're over our expenses by $568,000. So when we take that net revenue, we subtract out these expenses, we're ahead of our budget of our net operating income of $244,000. So this number here, this 2.3 million, is what we call our operating income. That's what we generate as a company. When we take all of the revenues, net revenues that we generate, all of our operating expenses, things that take cash, we have, basically you can look at this as, okay, we've made 2.3 million in cash. Okay, let's look at it that way. We had budgeted 2.1, so we made 244,000 more in cash. So we want to look at this number, and I want to scroll down to our budget. So we've got 2.3 million. In our budget for this year, we're projecting 3.6 million in that number. We're going to generate 3.6 million in cash for the year. I want to show you how that will work. So you have an opportunity, if we hit this, we'll get 3.6 million generated in cash. After all of our expenses are paid, cash expenses, we've got 3.6 million. Well, as Charlie mentioned, our 2016 capital budget, we're wanting to get down to $1 million. We came in at 2.5 million to start with. We're down to 1.5 right now. We've got to cut some more. So if we take $1 million of the money we made this year for next year's capital budget, we have debt payment. That's the payment on our loans, the principal. We have just over 8 million in debt. Currently we're paying about $1.5 million a year to pay down that debt. So we got to take that from the 3.6 million that we made. As Joel mentioned, we like to give salary increases. We all like to have an increase in salary. So I put in a modest salary and benefit increase for next year of $550,000. Now that's if we didn't hire any more people. If we just had status quo salaries as they are, I put in a modest increase to that and the benefits for who's here now, it'd be that. And then I added, our expenses are going to go up some next year, so I put in a modest one there. So basically, of the 3.6 million that we generate this year, that we're projected to generate, we're going to be left with these rough estimates, 243,000 that we can stick into a savings account for future growth. Now, we want more than that. Because if you think about the 9 million that we had to spend on the hospital, you divide it by 243, it'd take you like 22, 25 years to save up for that. And that's just one piece of it. I mean, we're going to need to buy a new CT scanner. Eventually, you'll have to replace the MRI. Medical equipment's not cheap, as you can tell. So I hope that kind of helps give you a better idea of where the cash is, how it comes in, how we plan it going out. This is just kind of a rough estimate of that. And so when we have good months like December, it helps us get through the slower months like January and February where we have a loss. It helps us so that we can try to keep up with our capital expenditures. In the past, we've spent like $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 in capital expenditures. As we grow, we have more capital that we need to expend out. And so that's gotta go up, and you'll continue to see that grow as our company, as our facilities grow. You just can't maintain and grow from a $20 million company to a $30 million company and continue to spend $750,000 on capital equipment. Just like salaries and wages, those continue to go up, because as we grow, we have to hire more people. And so those will also increase. So I hope that helps explain a little bit more of how the flow of revenues and expenses are coming into the facility. Do you have any questions? You know, and if you do, if some of this stuff I don't explain very well for you, just give me a call and I'll be happy to sit down with you and explain to you, you know, why we can't, or why we did buy this, we can't buy that. I mean, it's been really difficult. You know, Charlie and I would love to be able to give everybody huge raises and buy all the equipment necessary, but as you can see, it's just impractical to a point. You have to make decisions. And the department leaders and you as department staff, you know, if you don't get that piece of equipment you've been hoping for, I hope you can kind of understand there's some give and take here. And I think the department directors work well with each other, trying to decide, you know, well, yeah, we need that x-ray machine more than possibly this. This can hold off for another year, and we sacrifice some so that we can try to work within the numbers that are given. And then also behind this is price increases to the public. In order to continue to maintain this, of course, we're going to have to increase prices eventually. And right from the get-go, you have a price increase, well, 25% of that increase you're not going to collect right from the get-go. So it's almost like you have to have a higher increase than what you really wanted. I mean, good old healthcare, as you know, it's broken. And we're a part of that, and this is one of the challenges we have with it. So I hope that explains a little clearer maybe of how the flow comes and goes in the financials. And like I said, don't hesitate to give us a call. We'd be happy to sit down. I know most of you don't really want to talk numbers, but it makes me excited, so come and visit.
So Chad, there was a couple of us talking a week or so ago, and I'm on the foundation now, which helps raise money towards capital things. And a couple of us were talking a week or so ago, and we said, you know, if there's 250 employees here, and I heard there's 280, if there's 250 employees, and we each had $1 taken out of our paycheck every 2 weeks, $1, and it went to the foundation, that's $250 every 2 weeks, basically $500 a month that's put in there. Most of us as employees, we're not even going to even notice that dollar's missing. You know, but that money's there to help our hospital, and part of our culture is to be giving back. And so I think it's really easy to see, am I going to get a raise? Did I get the piece of equipment I want? But if we look at what did I do to help us get there, you know, and I would really encourage people to go to HR, and I mean, you just fill out a little sheet. If you want $1 taken out or $2 a paycheck or whatever, it adds up, especially if everybody does it, you know, and it all helps us get things that we want. You know, and then we also talked about, as far as helping fellow employees who are going through some medical problems. You know, if we had a fund that we did that also, just $1 there, then when somebody comes up, like we have, you know, some staff in Med-Surg that are going through some real crises, help them with their travel expenses, help them with things, and it's there, you know, and we were just thinking that that might be something to contemplate, having a fund or something like that. But most of us wouldn't miss $1 or $2 coming out of every paycheck.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for your comments. Okay, any other comments, questions? Yes, Joel?
Under upcoming events, just to go off of Winona, it does talk about we do have a potluck coming up for one of our employees in need on Thursday, April 9th from 11 to 1 up here, where everybody brings some potluck and you donate whatever money you spend for a meal that day. And then if you've got stuff from your garage you're wanting to clean out, you bring up here and we bid on it and take it home and put it in our garage.
There's some pictures on Med-Surg where they're going to be on that silent auction, so go by and see those. They're amazing.
Wrong.
There's some really high dollar ticket items gonna be in this auction that were donated from a lot of different agencies around the valley. So we're actually encouraging that other people be invited to this auction because some of the pictures are $500 pictures, you know. So individuals in the community who you know, invite them to this auction specifically because there's some pretty awesome items.
Good, thank you. All right, anybody else? Anything on your mind?
I have one thing on my mind.
Yes.
I did some recognition in the Friday Flyer last week for social workers and dietitians, and I failed to add one name and picture to that list, and that was Mary Walker and with the social workers. And I feel really badly for forgetting that. She's been here forever, and I forgot her on there, so I wanted everybody to make sure to recognize her as well.
There are two of us.
Can I make one more thing too? On April 18th, which is a Saturday, Dr. Green is going to be the speaker at a mother-daughter friend heartfelt lunch. And that will be here in the Grazer Room on Saturday at 12 o'clock. So, come, he spoke yesterday to the board, exciting cardiac rehab that's going on, and he is just 100% behind it. And Trevor Spencer is so highly spoken of, and we're really excited to have him head our program here. So come and listen to the education and listen to Sarah Peterson gives them amazing recipes and things about heart health lunches for women specifically this time. So April 18th.
All right, anybody else? Okay, Pam?
Okay, so today, Lindy